I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. Is the recent videos and social media posts coming from Naziah's phone, who is trying to throw us off. Appreciate the new membership, Effie. Appreciate you for purchasing the new membership, Effie. And if anyone would like to help us reach our 10 super chats for this demonstration, we appreciate it. Just click on the $ symbol and purchase a super chat, or you could purchase a super sticker as well. And those that are catching this on the replay, gang, y'all could purchase a super chat or a super sticker as well. Let me read this copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Someone is definitely trying to throw us off. Someone is trying to throw us off. Now that we all have figured out that this Naziah Harris case is bigger than Jarvis as well as Naziah. But now that we went down the rabbit hole and we are able to see that it's a community of SOs, that very community is trying to throw us off. They're trying to throw us off. Now, there is an Instagram page. There's an Instagram page, and it does show videos, pictures of Naziah that we've never saw before. We've never saw before. There's other children in the videos as well. Now, the $1 million question is that social media site, are those videos and pictures, are they coming from Naziah's phone? Why are they trying to throw us off? So now, with many of you believing that Naziah is still alive, that adds more fuel to the fire of her still being alive. Well, Shank Rock, she posted those videos. She posted those pics. It came from her phone. Well, we know just because those pics and videos came from her phone, we know that that don't necessarily mean that that's Naziah that's posting it. It could be whoever it is that has Naziah's phone. Now, her phone is down the rabbit hole, believe it or not. Naziah's phone is down the rabbit hole. Appreciate that super sticker, Lolita. Appreciate that super sticker, Lolita. Naziah's phone is down the rabbit hole. Who got Naziah's phone? Who's controlling the social media sites? If it's anyone that's watching, and if you are controlling the sites, if you are controlling those videos and everything, come forward. Come forward. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Salute Patricia. Salute Belinda. Salute Miss Lottie. Salute Gina. Nene, Miss B, Shauna, Mona, Kristen, salute, Mel, and I will be dropping the link, Marie, and make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Kiki, I see you, Kiki. Could it be the evangelist? Could the evangelist be behind this? Because the evangelist, he, in my opinion, the evangelist is a major player in this. Appreciate that cash donation, Mel. Appreciate that cash donation, Mel. And if you would like to send a cash donation, my cash app is $ERICMCINT. The evangelist knows a lot. He knows a lot. He's been around. He's been around. He participated in a lot of things. He participated in a lot of things. But see, and this is going to either work in your favor or it's going to work against y'all. But those that are down that rabbit hole, those that are responsible, y'all got two things that y'all could do. Y'all could come clean, put everything on the table, or y'all could stop trolling me, Miss Parker, and all of the other content creators. And most important, stop putting this stuff on social media, because the social media detectives that's on social media, they're going to catch you. They're going to trace right now, the social media detectives is tracing that social media account. The social media detectives are tracing the videos and pictures. So words of advice, just stop, fall back. Now, I'm not going to give y'all no more advice. I ain't going to tell y'all no more what y'all should do. But as y'all can see, everybody that's on this case, everybody is on y'all heels. Now, just keep feeding us. Keep feeding us. What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts? Let me check in with the chat and the replay game. What are y'all thoughts about this? Drop a one if you believe that the rabbit hole characters are trying to throw us off. Drop a 2 if you believe that it's Naziah Harris herself that's uploading those videos. Drop a 1 if you think it's the rabbit hole characters that's trying to throw us off. Drop a 2 if you think it's Naziah Harris herself. I don't believe that it's Naziah. I believe that it's the rabbit hole characters that's trying to throw us off. I just don't believe it's Naziah, and I could be wrong, but I still stand 10 toes down on Naziah is no longer with us in the physical. I still believe that the Naziah Harris is unalive. I still believe that she's unalive. But these folks that's down this rabbit hole, they trying to throw us off. Somebody got a phone. Somebody got a phone. Somebody got a phone. See, Jarvis is locked up. So ain't nothing that Jarvis can do. Ain't too much that Jarvis can do. Some of y'all might say that's not true, Shank, because people that's locked up, they got cell phones and so forth. And I understand that. But they got Jarvis under a tight surveillance. They got Jarvis like just like that on Jarvis. Any movement, any mail, any and everything that comes through Jarvis's possessions, they own them. Jarvis is on a 24-hour suicide watch. Jarvis is on protected custody. It ain't but so much that Jarvis can get done. It ain't but so much that Jarvis can do. Let me see. Give me a minute, y'all, and let me try to grab some of the things. Vicky says it has to be somebody that is willing to continue to pay herself. Excellent. Excellent, Vicky. Very good point, Vicky. So now we got to find out. We got to find out who's paying her cell phone. We got to find out who's paying her cell phone. And I'm sure we will find out who it is that's paying her cell phone. Nene says Annette or Shannon. Annette or Shannon. But they are really, really trying to throw us, but they only making themselves look stupid. Now that is a post. That is a video of a little girl that's pregnant and she's dancing. Capricorn says, is it a cell or is it the tablet that was connected with Shannon's devices? True. And it could be on a computer. But you're right, Capricorn. Lisa says, catch me up, fam. Somebody, anybody. Sorry, I'm late. Appreciate that super chat, Chen. Appreciate that super chat, Chen. Chen says, it's someone else. No way she's doing that. Right. I ain't buying it that it's her. I'm not buying it that it's her. But let's see. Let me see. All right. How do y'all feel about this? Now, this is one of those videos. This is allegedly found in Nazaya's camera roll. Allegedly. What are y'all thoughts on this? Like I said, for me, why is the face of this person covered up? Some people say, Shank, they have to cover it up. They have to cover it up. Let me see if I could catch the chat and see what y'all saying. Let me see if I could catch the chat. Salute D Walsh. Salute Short Stack. Somebody, Belinda says, where's the feds on this? It's kidnapping. Nene says, that girl been pregnant for months now. Lisa says, no, I don't think she was that. Let me grab Chen's super chat. Appreciate that super chat. Chen says, all these clowns are coming forward now. They should have been here in the beginning. They're playing with us. I just don't know what's the truth anymore. And I'm with you on that, Chen. I'm with you on that. Why didn't these clowns, why this case is, I believe, a year old. I believe this case is a year old. I believe that Naziah Harris went missing January the 9th of 2024. Here it is. Here it is. April the 19th, 2025. And let's just be honest. If these characters that was down the rabbit hole wasn't pulled out of the rabbit hole, they wouldn't have never spoke. The evangelist, he had all this time. He had all this time. Why didn't the evangelist come out? Why didn't the evangelist come out? Appreciate the super chat, Constance. Appreciate that. Constance says, salute, Shank. I enjoy watching your channel. Awesome mods, positive vibes. Stay on there next. We appreciate having you over here rocking with us, Constance. But why didn't the evangelist, why didn't he come up off of this information from the very beginning? Janelle, Kiwana, Roxy, and Roxy's mother, Kenya, those four were on social media from the beginning. Those four were speaking to content creators. Those four were making posts. So why wasn't the evangelist on social media making any posts? He had the video of the birthday party that Jarvis came to late, and Miss Annette damn near broke her neck to get the Jarvis. He had the evangelist had that video on his Facebook page. He also had the video of Naziah at the bowling alley with her phone in her hand. And he had a video of Miss Annette and the kids in the vehicle that he was driving. So why didn't the evangelist come forward? Now, when it comes to Kenneth Donnell Greer, I didn't see anything on his Facebook page. He pretty much was in the wind. Kenneth Donnell got ghosted. He was in the wind. And I believe the only reason why he came up out of the rabbit hole was for the simple fact the evangelist mentioned his name. And so Kenneth Donnell Greer, he felt as though, let me go and try to clear my name. Frank done a MIA on us. Frank is missing in action. His baby mother pulled up. I don't believe that's his baby mother, because I believe his baby mother, would have knew I ain't getting involved in this mess. But then again, that might be Frank's baby mother. Y'all know who else is down the rabbit hole? And I was going to save this, but Marquita. Marquita. Oh, yeah. Marquita is down the rabbit hole. Marquita is down the rabbit hole. Because Marquita lived at Annette's house. Oh, yeah, Marquita. You lived at Annette's house. Marquita, you ain't no different from your twin sister. Marquita had animosity towards Naziah as well. And this is why Naziah did not get the help from the ladies. It wasn't just Shannon and Miss Annette that had animosity towards Naziah. Marquita had animosity towards Naziah. See, when you get into the sick minds of these individuals, you can see and you ask and you question. You got to question it all. I got to question everything. Because Marquita, she knew. She was in the house. She was living in the house. But Marquita didn't protect her either. So now you got Jarvis with Naziah. You got the evangelist with Vari. And they knew this. They knew this. Now, I've gotten, and I'll just say this, I've gotten word that Naziah's mother, lady, she's hurt. She's hurt. I've gotten word that Naziah's mother, lady, is hurt. And even Roxy's mother, Kenya, even Kenya said that Naziah's mother is better than that. She's better than that. Naziah's mother is pretty. And she just, don't know. But she do knows that Naziah's mother is better than what image she's been projected. We got to remember that phone, y'all remember the phone, and I got to say allegedly, Naziah's phone, I believe, was pinged to either the hotel room or the hotel that Naziah's mother, lady, was at. Kenya also mentioned the 40 new witnesses. And she mentioned that those people at that hotel, and I'm sure that it's a lot of those people at that hotel that's coming to court, because a lot went down at that hotel. A lot went down at that hotel. And then I hope I can pull this post up. Give me a minute, y'all. I hope I can pull this post up. But allegedly, give me a minute, y'all, because I want to make sure I quote this right. I want to make sure I quote this right. But I get so much information that's sent in to me. I get a lot of information that's sent in to me. Let me make sure I read this right. Now it's gone, y'all. But this information that I got yesterday was about King. about Cain. Give me a minute, y'all. Let me see what the chat says. Shannon has all Naziah's passwords. It has to be somebody that is willing to continue to pay herself. Okay, I'm way behind in the chat. Let me try to catch the chat. I'm way behind in the chat. Give me a minute, y'all. Let me drop the link. Let me drop the link. If anybody want to join me on the panel, click on the link. If anybody want to join me on the panel, click on the link. Kristen says, I don't believe it's Annette. It is more possible it is Shannon or Roxy. I hope the investigators are monitoring and will reveal in court. Salute, Mel.
Salute, Shank. What's up? Hey
Talk
Shank,
to me.
do you remember what I was talking about last night? I was so tired, but I was trying to get a point out and I forgot what it was about. Do you remember?
I don't remember. Salute, Kristen.
Okay, well I'll start here. A very a very important place to start here. I know that a lot of people they're focused on the testimony of all of the witnesses and all of the people and whoever. But the closing arguments tells a lot. And the reason why I say this, and this is no cap, right hand of Jesus. Many, many years ago, if you remember the Kaylee Anthony case, me and my friends was watching some of my classmates, and when I heard the opening arguments, the first thing I said is that they're not going to find her guilty. And I said that because everything that the prosecution brought was all just circumstantial. But nothing ever tied her to doing that. The only thing that was evident was that she told a lot of lies. But as far as what happened to her child, nothing tied her to that. Nothing they had. So this morning, I listened to the closing arguments in Naziah's case. My opinion, the offense was more, I don't know, to me, their closing arguments was more compelling. And it took me back to Casey Anthony's case. Everything that the prosecution said was all circumstantial, or that this could have happened, or somebody said this, so that's probably true. But nothing that they brought actually, nothing that they brought actually pointed to not only Jarvis Butts unaliving her, but even him taking her. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
going back to all of the ladies out here that's covering this case, Miss Parker, and that, and the other ladies, they all ask the same question, and that question is, do you notice that most of the women that he dated all seemed kind of slow or delayed? They were unattractive as far as the way he was running the show. You feel what I'm saying? So when they introduced his mom, that lady right there that abused him, in a verbal court proceeding, they say she was mentally retarded. You feel what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
So that trauma of that led him to the type of women he chose to deal with, right?
Hmm.
Delayed, not really attractive. That was part of his trauma. That was his target. So if he was targeting these type of women, what reason would he have to unalive Naziah? What reason would he have to even take her? Because I think that he had more stuff going on and more stuff that he was trying to hide that had nothing to do with Naziah. Even in the defense's clothing, they alluded to something that the prosecutor said. At some time, he really, really stopped communication with her. In my belief, especially with all of the text messages that they read in court, I don't think that was Naziah texting. And I think he knew that. That's why he made statements that he questioned different things that he said, like, what? Or, he just questioned a lot of things that she was supposedly saying, like, this can't be Naziah. So he was asking his own kind of questions. Now, there was one point where a text, she texted and say, she was, with child or whatever. And he
Hmm.
says, in his response, if you remember, I think we went over this too, Shank, when he said, I didn't releasing you. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't, out of all those text messages that they read in there, and with her, regardless of the trauma or the things that she experienced from any of them fools, I don't think her mind was that advanced to be saying all of those things that those texts were saying. And he knew that. That's why his responses never matched her what she was saying.
Yep. I said the
It
same
never
thing.
it never matched because it wasn't her. It was whoever had possession of her phone. Now the story about them picking her up and they going to the drop off a car in Italy, I don't know. Hmm, mm. We got to figure out those players in there because I just I don't know. I don't know about all that. I don't. Even with the Shannon said, oh, she texted to ask where this particular address was, and like if she's sneaking to do something, why is she texting Shannon to ask where the address was? Oh yeah, all right, y'all, that's right. Oh, y'all say she didn't have a cell phone. And, okay, whatever. But so you feel what I'm saying, right?
I'm with you.
So we really have to ask ourselves. I mean, take a really, really deep dive. And I'm not excusing him. And this is to the chat and other people that I know. I'm not excusing anything that he did. All I'm saying is the question: what reason would he have to do that? And if you go back and listen to the closing arguments in which his attorneys, which are public defenders, actually uses case law. Like their argument really real. And I think the judge made her decision because she
feels like it's necessary to really, really find out what happened to her. So by her making a decision, yes, there's enough evidence to for this to go to trial, even though we don't have a body. She made that decision because it's important that something comes out of all this. Because I think as she sat there and listened to all of the testimony, she called out the people that had failed her.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the majority of them people was on the stand, right? So it was important for people to find out what actually happened to her. But listening to what the prosecution brought, even down to them searching the cars and taking fingerprints, even when he rented the hotel room that night, the forensics showed no signs of Naziah being in that hotel room. They even tested the drains, everything. They went over everything. And I just don't think that she ever went to that hotel. I don't. I can't. I don't know. You know, me personally, I think she went home, but that's another story. But listening to the closing, and when you listen to the closing of what the prosecution says and what the defense says, what the defense says actually outweighs what they said, because none of this stuff, nothing really ties him to her except for those text messages. But they can't prove it's a text message. You can't prove who texted on the phone. But at some point, the light bulb had to come on to them and say, "There's no way this 13-year-old person is texting these words." And then he's like, you can tell in his responses, he's taken aback, like, "What?" You know, because he was trying to figure out who he was talking to, and then there was another content creator that said, and I guess what it was not very well presented was that, because I don't think they said it in when they was looking at all of the phone records, that he began to call whoever was texting, but they never answered the phone. So it's like he made 40
Mm-hmm.
phone calls. So if this is Naziah with all of this going on, why did she never answer the phone? I think at one time the text back and said, "Oh, I was in the shower," but he called the phone 40 times because he knew he wasn't texting Naziah. I just don't think he knew if it was Shanna or Shanna's mother. And that's my take on it. And I digress. And I yield the floor to the other young ladies that showed up.
Give me a minute before I bring you in, Lisa. Let me acknowledge the super chat. Appreciate the super chat, Drea. Appreciate that super chat, Drea. Stay on the next, King. Appreciate that super chat, Drea. Come on in, Lisa.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi. First of all, I want to talk about, let's start with the fake evangelist. Okay, now. He says that his only gripe is that she was strict. And I find that to be a strange word, because if you're strict, uh, there's no molestation, no essaying going on. There's no sneaking out 2:30 in the morning. There's no pregnancy. It's too much uh allegations going that doesn't fit in with the word strict. So, but I was believing him in some of the things he was saying. But when the uh Kenneth, the other Kenneth, Darnell, I don't care if he listen or not, I believe he is the artistic one. Whenever your mother sees something fishy, she call the authorities, because I ain't being prejudiced. We black folk, we don't call the authorities unless something's really going on. We call our people. And asked him what was it, and he said, "I don't know, I was at work." No, that's not the answer. That is not the answer for an African American man. Even if he's that's not the answer. And it's something about Christians. They have a dark side, and they will not let it come out. I believe that the only reason why he came on that show, because all his Christian friends were saying, "Well, if it ain't true, you better speak up." Because his answers was very unbelievable. Miss Parker, she was cooking, but he was giving her expired milk. You know what I'm saying? He just was. How do you not know if your mother called authorities about something disrespectful to your niece, her granddaughter, and you don't know what it was, and he still got all the fake evangelist still got all the braids in his hair? Something is wrong. You should know. If not, then you damn should know now what it was, how it happened, the outcome, and how many teeth he got left, and why all your family not there to beat his ass. That's how we get down. I can only speak on my culture. Now, let me say this: Michigan or Maryland, it makes no difference. If there's another nationality sitting there and a sister sitting there, and a song come on, you already know how one going to dance, and you already know how the sister going to dance. And before they get up, their hand itching. One nationality going to be scratching their hand. The other, my sister going to say, "Oh my God, I'm about to get some money." And I don't know her. She don't know me. It's just how it is. And the police got my brother. He ain't do it though. Okay, you don't believe them. So why would you believe the police about your dead family member? I'm gonna tell you something about us folk, and I'm not being racist. Just us folk. This is what we do. We put the word out on the street. Matter of fact, the neighborhood drug dealers get money together for a secret reward for any information. You somewhere rocking in the corner. What's wrong? What's wrong? I just feel like my baby's somewhere. To that nigga locked up, and I feel like my baby is somewhere calling out for me. I gotta look. I gotta. That's how we act. That's how we act. We're not on social media talking. But I don't believe you said this about me. And we don't do that. That's not what we do. Now, a body, one thing. Nobody. We out there looking in the trenches, and all you gotta do is tell a nigga on the corner, "I give you 20 out." He gonna go hunt for information. And when I say 20, I mean much more because the situation is so much greater. I'm just saying how Michigan or Maryland, same thing. This is how we work. This is how we get down. If I hit the lottery and went to a cabinet way up in the country, do you know a few, and I'm telling nobody, my uncle will be knocking at the door? Because word, can't nobody keep a secret. He'll be knocking at my door, he will find out. And for them not to be so concerned about this child, it puzzles me because we don't believe what the police say when they say something wrong. He ain't doing it. Why would you believe that now? Why aren't you out there right now instead of listening to Shank or Miss Parker? Why aren't you have your phone in your hand and while you looking through the trenches for your baby, and everybody in the neighborhood looking for the baby? And I believe that because they already know. All of them have something to lose. I have not, maybe, I don't know. I'm slow. Maybe I missed something. But I have not heard about a steady boyfriend. And all of them was going to go down if that baby seen the day of light. I just feel like, because sometimes you don't want to. Okay, some people may disagree, but I believe Jarvis loved that girl because he was doing disrespectful things to be with that baby. I believe that the grandmother overlooked that baby. I believe that Shannon was jealous of that baby. But at the end of the day, I believe they all had a certain amount of love. But it does not matter when the outcome means you going down. Sometimes evidence and witnesses have to go. But they stupid. They didn't do it right. They need to tell us where that baby at. Because if he locked up and there's no body, that means that baby is somewhere being tied up. Who do you know African American to sit around and just accept that? We don't accept nothing the police say. We looking. We paying people. If they selling t-shirts to get somebody to help tell us for reward where that baby at, they sell a million of them. So they need to stop playing. Stop playing with it. This is a baby's life.
Let me welcome my new guest, Reese. Salute, Reese. You gotta unmute your mic, Reese. You gotta unmute your mic, Reese.
Good
I'm finished,
afternoon.
y'all. I'm finished, y'all. God bless y'all. I love y'all. And I'm gonna eat while I talk to y'all.
All right.
And I'm gonna eat while I talk to y'all.
Reese, you gotta close your tabs out. You got a lot of tabs open, Reese. Close them YouTube tabs out, Reese. All right, unmute your mic, Reese.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you sound good. Come on.
So my thought lately has just been, I've been watching a lot and listening, and I feel like I've noticed anytime the focus was on Jarvis or Shannon or Annette, there wasn't really a lot of heat or anything. They would come on to try to defend themselves and then just make themselves look more stupid. However, I feel obviously that it's a whole lot bigger, and now that the churches are being mentioned and everything with that, now the threats are coming, and now there's all these people coming up in the chats and trying to deflect or scare people. And so that's where my mind is at, because it's like, this is getting freaky, because at the same time I'm also thinking, okay, I've heard Shannon talk and all them, and no offense, but I don't feel they have the brains to really have pulled this off for a whole year. So that's where I'm at. I think it goes beyond the family.
That's a good point. Let's stay right there with Shannon and them not having the brains. That's a good point. How many of y'all feel like Shannon and them just didn't have the brains to pull this off? Drop a 4. Drop a 4 if y'all feel like Shannon didn't have the brains to pull this off. Drop a 5 if y'all feel like it's bigger than Shannon and them. But that's a good point, Reese.
Thank you. That's all I had, though.
Okay. Appreciate you for pulling up. If anybody else want to pull up, come on up on the panel. Slide in, Mel.
Shane, and she's exactly right. That's going back to, again, the kind of women that he dealt with. You know, you got him calling on a 3-way. He got one woman calling the next woman. Like, all of that is insane. Like, who does that? But all of the women that he dealt with, they all had that. They were just all the same demeanor, same IQ levels, just the same. Everything about demeanor, you know, appearance, like everything was the same. And it's like, so when you say that, and because of the amount of kids he had, like, well, I don't know how it is in his state, but I know in Florida, if you have over a certain amount of kids, they can't put you on child support. So, but it was like, there was so many of them. It's like, when did he just have time to be running to this young girl? I mean, he was all over the place. Like, he was all over the place, you know, just, and everybody just, they just all seem the same. And with me, I think that To be honest with you, less focus should be on him, you know? And again, not taking away from what he did, because that was wrong, but that focus is got to be on who was tied to the church. No one said Jarvis was tied to any church, right? So who was tied to the church?
And that's a good
Because
point. Let me read some of these messages to everybody. And I'm sure everybody has seen these messages as well. Let me see. So here's some of the messages. It says, how old is Kayla? Allegedly, Naziah Hurst. And these messages supposedly are from a week ago. Naziah Hurst 15 says 16. Now she was a few years older than us. Then somebody by the name of In a Perfect World says, hey, Brooke. Naziah says, hey. In a Perfect World says, I hope this is really her cousin I'm rooting for. Now this allegedly, and I can't show this video because of the copyright music that's being played in the back. But these are just some of the, I don't want to play that because the copyright music. But let me go back to, so here comes another person. It says, when did your dad get caught? Like, what made the cops arrest him? So allegedly, this is, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. This is allegedly, I believe, one of Jarvis's daughter. That's Naziah Harris 15. Because this person is saying, when did your dad get caught? Like, what made the cops arrest him? Talking about Jarvis. And also, why was Naziah so good at pretending like everything was okay? So I believe this is Jarvis's daughter. That's Naziah Harris 15. Says, my dad turned himself in, I think in January or February, for a pow charge he had, but he told us he was turning himself in. I don't know, but I know she was pro, just like the family did. I don't know if the pro is short for pregnant. I'm not sure. Y'all could decipher this. And so it said, okay, I already read that one. All right, I'm behind, y'all. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. So, okay. So now, friends want to come out the woodwork. Where was y'all at a month ago when Annette lied on y'all and said y'all said Naziah was out effing? Who said that? Which friend? Cousin says it was her friends in Instagram in her bio. Kayla lives in Texas, not Detroit. She was touched by my dad as well and had to testify. Then it says, who the F is this? Another missing piece to this crazy ass puzzle. The cousin of Naziah says, I am Naziah. Well, see, this is confusing, y'all. Now it's saying, she's saying, I am Naziah. And okay. I am Naziah and Janiah's friend who used to stay down the street like 2 doors down. Are you and your brothers and sisters safe together? I'm with my mom, so yes, but so for me, I'm gonna come out of this, y'all, because for me, it gets me confused. So I'm gonna come out of it. Come on back in, Mel.
I think so if Naziah and her cousin Janiah are the same age, then I think this year Naziah would be 15 and make them both be 15. So I can see them, elevating as far as their mind wise. And when I saw Naziah Harris 15, I actually thought that was her cousin. I found it interesting that she used 15 at the end of that because she would be 15 this year. They both would be 15 this year. I thought that was interesting, but I didn't really read the note the messages. I kind of just looked at the pictures and the videos that were there, which I found kind of interesting. And it would have been easy to just get that from her um, her account camera roll if she had access to it. Who knows? And who knows what kind of secrets her and her cousin kept, you know? But and then I don't know. I just think there's a lot of pictures and videos, and I found it interesting that they showed the pregnant belly but not the face. I found it kind of interesting that that was done that way. But with somebody of her age and her build, and first time mom, to have a stomach like that, usually you're not going to show like that till you about 7, almost 7, at least a good 7 months. You know, so I don't know. And I didn't really look at a timestamp on any of those videos either to see the actual time and days that they were taken. But I think to answer, I don't know if it was your question or somebody else's question about, this is a year, but I think that maybe back then it wasn't getting that much traction until, one person found it, and you know how things spread on YouTube like wildfire. But I think now more and more attention is coming to it, and there are a lot of great content creators that are covering it, and they all got their foot on the gas, and they're finding all of the people
So, what's up, y'all?
that's linked together. You feel me? So I mean that's about all I have to say about that. But I just again, I think the closing arguments of the preliminary hearing is a very, very good place to start for anyone that want to try to figure out, you know, the kind of angle. And of course, they're not gonna. I'm quite sure more and more evidence have come out since that preliminary hearing, but just the stuff that they used in the preliminary hearing to get the case to trial, still to me, wasn't enough to put that type of charge on him. Because there's nothing there. Everything to me, it all worked out in the defense favor to me. And I yield.
Before I let Nikki and Juanita come in, let me run this video of Naziah. And this is some of the new videos that's been coming out.
It's literally at nighttime. And I like getting my clothes out at night, but this time I will be designing them with some old clothes because I'm tired of wearing the same clothes over and over again. And like today, made me talk like, bro, this is a very old shirt. You know what I'm saying? I cut it. I cut the sides on these, cut the bottom, made them to some booty shorts. And bro, this might gonna have to be a part 2, but let's get straight to it. Got the pants. These some old pants.
Now, this video actually been around for a minute. I can honestly say, I think somebody sent me this 2 months ago. So this is not a new video that I'm talking about. Somebody sent me this 2 months ago.
Yeah. Let me hurry up. Okay, part 2. I got the pants ready and done, bro. I was wasting all that time. So, I don't care how uneven cut it is, but...
Now, did y'all notice that y'all hear a baby's voice? Did y'all hear a baby's voice in the background crying? Drop a 8. Drop a 8 if y'all heard the baby's voice in the background crying. Drop a 8. What are y'all thoughts on that baby that was in the background, that we hear in the background crying? Okay, so Majority of everybody heard that baby also. Now that's definitely Naziah. That's definitely Naziah. So come on in, Juanita, and then Nikki, you come in after Juanita. Well, while we wait for Juanita to come in, come on in, Nikki Lynn, and Juanita, you come in after Nikki.
Hey, Shank, Juanita, I think Mel Rock Squad. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to say this. I apologize. I'm not in the chat. I'm actually out riding, and I had to pull over because some of the things I'm hearing is upsetting to me. And so I had to pull over. And first of all, let me just say this. I'm not attacking anybody's opinion or your perspective. We all have our own opinion and we're entitled to it. First, the messages that we've seen that just have since come out, I don't believe that's Naziah. I believe that that's some sick out here, pretending to be Naziah, playing, games, playing on everyone's feelings. And it's not funny. I, as you do, Shank, I believe the little girl is no longer with us, unfortunately. I believe, as the state's attorney said, there's enough evidence that points to the fact that she is no longer with us. That being said, here's where I come in, and I just want to give a psychological perspective on Jarvis. For those who think that he was in love with Naziah, he absolutely was not. He's a grown man. He's sick in the head. He's narcissistic. Any narcissistic personality doesn't love anyone but themselves. Any and everything they do is for self gratification. He was grooming her. That's exactly what he was doing. So anything he made her feel, she was supposed to think that he was in love with her. He was love bombing her. He was making her feel important and special. The fact that he was turning Shannon against her and her against Shannon, that's what narcissists do. They manipulate people, they scheme, they lie. But in the end, everything is about them. Any and everything he did was for his own self gratification. Just trust and believe none of his feelings extend to Naziah. It was all about how he felt. And again, that's why I certainly do not believe that he's covering for Shannon or Marquita or anybody else. His feelings still don't extend to them. Now, are they in some sense helping or covering for him? Inadvertently, I think so, but I think it's their own guilt that they're covering up for. I do not believe that Jarvis is sitting in some jail cell feeling any guilt and covering up for Shannon or Annette, because again, he's a narcissist. His feelings don't apply to anyone but himself. Trust and believe, guys. He doesn't care about anyone else. And for those of you who think that he somehow shared Naziah with King, I do believe that he was able to be around King and King around him because birds of a feather flock together. But again, he would think of Naziah as his prize and his prize only, and he would not share her. Again, this is coming from a psychological perspective. Trust me, Jarvis is not covering for anyone but himself. And he did not love that little girl. He loved himself. Everything he did is for self gratification. And again, I'm not attacking anyone's opinion or perspective. I'm just trying to give y'all the psychological perspective on a narcissist. And if you know any, you know that I'm correct. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm hollering. I just got very emotional, Shane,
No, you
with
good,
people who
Nikki.
keep saying he love her,
No,
and
you
that
good.
and it somehow erases the idea that any of y'all think he has her somewhere hiding her safely until she has that baby. He didn't want that baby. That's why he was looking up ways to abort it. He didn't want her to have that baby. He's not trying to safeguard her. He knew her having a baby would bring him additional trouble. He's not looking to protect her. He's looking to protect himself. He's a narcissist, and he damn near may be borderline psychopath. I don't know because I never heard him speak. But if he gets the opportunity to speak in that courtroom, I will know just how dangerously close to a psychopath he is.
I mean, excellent point of view. There are many in the audience, well, many in the chat that agree with you.
And I can't see the chat, so thank you, Rock Squad, everybody who's speaking. Hello, I am driving. I had to pull over because I was getting really upset. So,
but then there are some that disagree with you. Now, if you want to
understand.
Okay, let me let Juanita come in, and then if you want to come back and maybe speak on those that disagree with you, that's fine. But let me.
You will have to read the comments to me because I can't see the chat. But go ahead, I'll yield for a second.
Okay, come on in, Juanita. 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 Let me come back here and tell Juanita slide in.
I put the marker line on it, so come back when I'm done cutting it. So I'm done. I have to change my place. So here you go. This is what they look like and per. And wait, we're not even done. And then we can like cut them like down, like kind of like this. So I'm about to cut and come back once I'm done. I'm not trying to make a part 3. Okay, y'all. I got them done. Cut them at the bottom, and then we're gonna cut the sides. Okay, I got both sides done. I'm making a part 3. Who's gonna be fixing their
Well, I fixed their food this morning.
Oh, he did fix it?
Oh my God. Oh.
We got the belly shirt. I'm about to try it on first. See how it looks. Okay, it fits like a belly shirt like it's supposed to. So we're only going to cut the top. So I'm not trying to make a part 3, and I'm still gonna show you the bottom outfit. So but cut the bottom, and I'm gonna come back, and then y'all gonna see the results. Okay.
So you're starting because nigga said.
Cut the bottom. Don't mind that crackhead.
Girl, you better be careful.
Cut the bottom and the sides. So the bit is on. I'm gonna show y'all. Just give me a minute. Okay. First, you got the socks. I got the white ones though. Then I got that pink and white tie-dye shirt. That was designed by me. And now you have the short.
Salute, Shank, salute, Mel.
Now you got the white.
You be careful out there, Nikki driving.
Salute, Juanita.
I somewhat agree with Nikki and something. Yes, can you hear me, Shank? Can you hear me?
It just puts my.
Can you hear me?
So
I think he's watching that video, but that's like a
Can you hear me?
there.
Yeah, go ahead, Juanita. Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me, Shank?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Come in.
Can you
Mel,
hear me, Shank?
Even come in, Mel. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I somewhat agree with Nikki too as well. But I also believe that I believe she fell in love with Jarvis because Jarvis was the only person who would pay her some attention. Also, I'm gonna say this in the words of Squeak. All this is a play. It's just a play. You know, they want to play in our face. You know, this thing runs deeper than we can see, than we can imagine. Because there's too many people involved, too many characters coming out the woodwork. And it's crazy. It's just crazy. I don't believe Jarvis unalive that baby. Now, as far as him touching her and molesting her, I believe that.
but nobody done anything about it. I believe the whole house knew because that's what they was into. So everybody is covering for everybody. They picked Jarvis because he was the fall guy. They Jarvis don't have nothing to lose, you know. So him going to jail for this, it don't mean nothing to them because he had already had charges way before this even took place. So he don't have nothing to lose. Now, as far as that baby being here, I wanna believe that she's still here. I pray that she's still here. But the way things is panning out, I don't believe that baby's still here. You know, I believe Jarvis dropped her off at home. Shannon got upset, and Shannon took advantage of the situation. That's what I believe. I believe Annette and Marquita is covering for Shannon. You know, the truth is right here in our face. It's just like going back to the Shanquilla case. When we put all the pieces together, the truth was right there. But you know, they throwing monkey wrenches in this to throw us off. You know, the distractions, you know, like the girl Payne that came out of nowhere talking about, you know, you put her address on the internet. That was a distraction to throw us off. It's hard people up in there. When you start talking about the churches and the school and CPS, yeah, it go deeper than that. Because everybody had a hand in this. You know, why it took so long for a counselor to come talk to that baby when she needed somebody to talk to? Why they let her leave school knowing the fact she needed to talk to somebody? And if they saw Jarvis picking her up knowing the fact that wasn't her father, why they didn't investigate it? You feel what I'm saying? I know
I'm
where
with you.
I'm at when it comes to these kids and getting picked up from school. If your name is not on that list at school, you cannot pick that child up. You have to prove that you were some kin to that child. So, like I said to me, to everybody, I think it's all a plan. They just want to throw us off our mark. When you get into the truth of the matter and what really happened, they just want to shut us down because we know the truth. And I digress.
Now, as y'all could see, that's definitely Naziah. That's Naziah. Now, what's up with the munition blinds? Now, this is something that we used to do when we was poor. And then, you know, but according to the evangelist, he said that Miss Annette spent 1,400 on clothes and food. I mean, what's really going on is what I'm trying to say. Even down to Naziah, the clothes that she have on. Maybe I'm reaching. But I'll let y'all come in. Mel, Nikki, y'all could come in
Look,
on this.
look, Shank.
Salute, Nikki. Well,
Hey,
it was
Mal. Go ahead,
evident.
Mal.
Hey, Nick. She was making her own clothes. She said she got tired of wearing the same thing over and over. So it's evident as she became, more into middle school that there was a lack of, you know, maybe trendier clothes or just clothes, period. So she was just having to reinvent her own. Now, in one picture, it showed that she was wearing her uniform to school. So I don't know if that was at her last school or maybe a younger picture. But just as far as clothes, because once they get have access to the internet, how they see the fashions and all the influences influencers and stuff that are out there. So it's evident that she had a lack of clothes. So she began to recycle her older clothes into making her own. But in that video, I saw and heard a young girl, 11, 12, going back to those text messages that she supposedly was sending and listening to her, there is no way that she was saying those things out of her mouth. You feel me? She sounds like just a normal, what they call them, preteen, that was just doing normal stuff. Reinventing her own clothes and her own style and things like of that nature. So,
Mel,
I,
Mel, I don't want to cut you off, but I got to get Kristen in because Kristen had came up early on in the demonstration, but she had dropped down. Come on in,
no, go ahead,
Kristen.
Kristen.
Come on in, Kristen.
Hi, Shank. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
I just want to make a comment about the phones. These phones, I believe my opinion is all these people are on government assistance. They get government phones, so they're not paying for 'em. But for whatever reason, we got all these phones now that are like dropping out of the sky. But that's just my opinion about the phones, because I know that has been coming up lately a lot. So maybe we could look at that part of it too, because these phones are government. They're not paying them. So why all of a sudden now are all these phones coming up? I just wanted to put that out there and just, put my opinion in there. It's just fishy to me, all these phones now.
I
Shane, can
appreciate
I
your
cut in real quick?
come on, Nikki. Come on.
And I just want to respond to Mel and Juanita. Hi, Kristen. Um,
Hi.
so a couple of things, right? And Juanita and Mel, sis, I love y'all. We can duke it out in North Carolina. See y'all then. But a few things. Jarvis absolutely unalived Nazia, and I'll tell y'all why. And all about the messages. Even if that's not Nazia. I mean Naziah. I'm
Nazaya.
sorry. We keep saying that. I know. I know. Mel, get your nephew. God damn it. Even if it's not Naziah, responding to Jarvis. Think about it, guys. It's Jarvis speaking to whoever it is. He think it's Naziah. So it is Jarvis sending back and forth the messages, whether it's Shannon or Naziah. So again, that sick SOB is the one that's talking, even if it's not Naziah speaking. That's what we need to focus on, not whether or not it's Naziah or Shannon, but the fact that that's Jarvis saying those things to a child. The other thing, Juanita, what I'm saying is this. He unalived her. He was the one who looked up antifreeze and how to do a at-home abortion and so forth. And if you know the effects of antifreeze, I don't think it was premeditated murder. I don't think he intended to unalive her. I think he thought he was going to take her to this hotel. He was going to get her to drink this antifreeze, and it was going to get rid of the baby, and that was going to be the end of it. But things went awry. It went wrong. Again, the other night, I told y'all they got over 1,000 gigabytes of video surveillance, over 500 gigabytes of telephone, all of that. And if somebody could tell me, if you could place Shannon and Annette at that hotel, then I'll believe y'all that they did something. Shannon and Annette definitely not getting Granny and Aunt Caregiver of the Year award. They definitely were wrong. They were neglectful. They didn't play their part. But she was last seen with Jarvis. She was in his car. They placed her there. He went to that hotel. If he fed that baby antifreeze, she didn't make it out of there alive. Once things went wrong, he covered up the body. Now, do Shannon and Annette know about it? It's a possibility. I don't know that. But he certainly unalived
Okay,
that
well, so
baby.
how she get her clothes changed?
Now it's somewhere I remember in court, Juanita, at the preliminary. One of them little girls came in and said, Naziah
Okay, the
came
high seat
home.
change. Yeah,
They said she came home. Annette and Shannon said she didn't, but they said she came home and changed her clothes or dropped off her tablet or her phone or whatever, because they have her tablet. And that's what the state's attorney is pulling those messages off of. I know everybody keep talking about the phone. I'm not saying she didn't send messages on the phone, but they're claiming that they took messages from the tablet that was issued by the school. I'm not saying messages weren't on the phone and they didn't pull that also, but they're claiming messages was pulled from that tablet. And one
Can I
of
jump
those
in?
children say Naziah came in that house and left back out. Again, maybe more, they say way more stuff is going to come out in the trial. But again, we have evidence that, and King testified that Naziah was with him in Jarvis. The sister testified, and then King's baby mother testified. That girl was with him all the way up until that night. They have him going into that hotel up until that night, but they don't place Annette and Jarvis. I mean Annette and Shannon with him. They
They
have,
place
they,
they place Naziah with him, right? But they don't
yes.
place Naziah at their hotel.
I disagree, Mel. I
Well,
disagree.
I
They
understand,
they they
Nikki.
did not say in the
okay, great. Okay,
preliminary.
Nikki.
They did not say in the preliminary,
Right,
and we know this, that they don't always tell us everything.
right.
They
But
tell
let
us
me just
just
say
enough.
this.
Go
Let me
ahead, babe.
just say this.
What can I get in there?
Okay, let me say this.
Oh, go
Okay,
ahead.
for one, with them school tablets, and I know this to be certain and sure, you
Uh-huh.
can't download certain things on them tablets, whether they coming from the school, the government, or something. It's certain wait a minute, certain things you just can't download on that tablet. Period. And two, how we know for sure that it didn't happen the day after? Because he borrowed that girl car twice
Mm.
on the
Okay,
ninth
to
and the
answer
10th.
your question, nobody said anything was downloaded. The state's attorney is saying they pulled messages. What they're retrieving and what we heard was the messages they read. That's what we heard, messages. I ain't
So
said nothing about
hold on, Nikki. So
download.
those 54 messages, are you saying came from a tablet?
My understanding is they have messages. I'm not telling you that they came all from the tablet or all
Right,
from the phone, but what
right.
they have recovered is her
It could have been.
tablet that was
Hmm.
issued from the school. That's
Hmm.
what's in the evidence from the state's attorney's office.
Okay, they
I
have the
read it the other
tablet.
night. I
Hello.
read it the
Hello.
other night before
Peace
Frank's
out.
baby mother came into the chat, and I was reading the evidence that they had entered into that they had at the preliminary, and they had the tablet.
Right, they
I'm
have
not
the
saying all the
tablet.
messages came from the phone or the tablet, because I
Hmm.
also read that they had over 1,000 something gigabytes.
Right. Yeah, I was just wanting to get clarification
And
that
so again, it wasn't clarified, and I know it's going to come out in the hearing, but we have to understand it. And you know that, Mel, because we've been talking about that as we're hearing even more stuff being released in Shanquella's case, that we didn't
Mhm.
get everything in one hit in the beginning.
Nikki, that's not what I said. I was
No, I didn't
strictly
say you
talking
said it.
right.
I was just,
So
answering the question.
I was strictly talking about listening to the closing arguments from the preliminary hearing. And what I said was what the state presented. And I didn't say that it wasn't enough because it's going to trial. But the defense, what they said was more compelling. And it was just like in the Casey Anthony's case. Of course, the prosecution presented, but what the defense presented was more compelling because it's both the same ways. They had more, I guess, rebuttal against the lack of evidence than actual evidence because everything was circumstantial. Some of the things that they in the preliminary they had to present in order for it to go to trial. Now, I'm not talking about things that they may have gathered over the last year. I'm strictly just talking about in the preliminary part and what they presented. What they presented was everything was circumstantial because they didn't link his fingerprints or anything. Not even they didn't even link any DNA from Nazaya to the hotel room that Jarvis rented. And it wasn't shortly after he checked in the room that he left the room. And he was all over the place. He was at this girl house. He was down the street from this girl house. He was all over the place. So what was Nazaya doing or where was she at? Because they even went as far as doing drain tests and everything. There was no evidence of Nazaya being in the room that Jarvis rented. And shortly after he rented the room, he left. So where was she at? Unless she was with him and he took her to one of those different locations he was at, maybe one of those girlfriends' houses. And that's a possibility. But I'm just saying what they
So
presented
I
in court.
apologize, Mel, if you think I was answering anything you said, because I wasn't. I didn't
Oh
hear the
no,
whole
I was
show,
just
and I
making
was coming.
no.
Yeah, I wasn't answering anything,
Can I speak?
and even when I came on, I
Okay,
say
I'm
I may
going.
be behind, and I missed some parts, and I wasn't even attacking anyone's opinion because I didn't hear everything you said or anything everybody said that was before me. So yeah, I wasn't. Even addressing things that you said, that wasn't it. I was really just saying that even some stuff that came out in the preliminary, we know that that's not everything. And I hear what you're saying. You're bringing up good points. And some of the points you're bringing up, I don't even necessarily think he entered into some of those girlfriends or fiancés' home. I think they were saying his phone pinged near their homes, meaning he's driving that way. We don't even know that it hasn't yet been even stated whether or not he went into their homes, he got out, whether or not they seen the Zaya. It's just so much more evidence to be presented. That's what I was saying. I wasn't, answering anything you said or addressing what you gave or didn't give. That's not what I was saying. So even I didn't even hear anything that you had said on the panel, to be quite honest.
Yeah. But I absolutely agree. Just what they found out over the past year is really going to be something. You know what I mean? And it's got to be something that was more compelling or more evidentiary than what they bought in the prelim. And I think that the judge was right by her decision to say, well, I think that I've heard enough to take it to trial. And like I said, I think a lot of her maybe I think some of her decision may have been based off just the people testifying, and she felt like, you know what, somebody's responsible here, and this needs to go to trial because it needs to come out. But as far as evidence, that's the part that to me was kind of lacking on the prosecution side. But listen to the people testify, she made the right decision because she's like, all these people fail, but like, what's really good with this? And then that's where it goes into, Shank and Miss Parker and that whole crew going down the rabbit hole because it's evident that there's something bigger or somebody else. Even when
Absolutely.
the CPS lady testified in the preliminary, I'm like, did she come from this kind of environment and just got herself together, got a degree, and went into this field of work? Because what she was saying was like, wait, hold on. It it was just all weird. But yeah.
I think we're going to be absolutely floored with all the evidence that has yet to come out. I do believe that additional charges could be brought against other people. I mean, that could be
Yeah.
Annette, it
And
could be Shannon. I don't think that this is where the case ends, but I think we have to understand that this case that we're on right now is against Jarvis. And once additional information comes out, it may involve other people and other people being charged with different crimes or additional crimes. But I just don't think right now that anyone is covering. Well, let me change that. I don't think he's covering for anyone else. I think he's narcissistic and he wouldn't. He is all about self perseverance.
Yeah, I agree with that, nigga. I don't think he's covered for no one but himself. I get that. I agree with that. But my thing
And
is this,
I
you know,
think
because
that
he told me,
Shannon and Annette
you know,
may
one, when
be.
the police
Go ahead.
uh when the police pinged Nazaya's phone, they pinged it back to Annette's house. Shannon had Nazir tablets and phones and all the passwords, you know, to her devices. But King testified that she was in the back of the truck on her phone. So how did they get her phone? You know, it's so much twists and turns in this case that
Right.
don't really make a lot of sense. So, you know, I'm just trying to put that together to see how did that come about.
I think inadvertently Shannon and Annette may appear to be that they're covering for Jarvis, but only because they're covering for themselves, only because they know that they did some wrong, only because they were neglectful, only because they're trying to hide what they did or didn't do. And in some way, it may help Jarvis, but they're not necessarily trying to help him. They're trying to cover their own wrongdoing. So if they say, oh, I'm not sure if that's Jarvis or not. Oh, I don't know what he looks like. Well, I'm not sure if he was in the house that day. It appears that they're trying to cover for him, but really what they're doing is covering for their own wrongdoing. It's their own
Right.
guilt they're trying to hide.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, guilt doesn't matter right now because if she was unalive, forget my guilt. It is what it is. I ask God for forgiveness, but you can't protect your guilt for somebody that was potentially unalive by some fool. That doesn't make a
You're
lot of
right,
sense.
Mel, if she felt bad enough, right? But she doesn't feel bad enough. Annette, she doesn't feel bad enough. She's not absolutely remorseful that her granddaughter was taken on her watch.
Right, right.
Look at everything that else that has happened under
But
her watch, her
right,
own children, her grandchildren. She doesn't feel bad enough. So instead of helping the law, she's
and
attempting
it's
to
so
cover
crazy
her
because
own actions.
Because let me just slide in for a second, everybody, because here's the infamous video of the
right, and
birthday party.
I agree with that, Nikki, because my thing is
And
this:
and
when she testified and said,
you went out, Juanita. Let me run the infamous birthday party and tell Juanita to come back in.
Shank, what date is that birthday party?
"Oh, okay,
Say it again,
I
Mel.
agree."
What date is that birthday party?
Uh, do we got a date on the birthday party, y'all? Is it a date? What did the evangelist say on Miss Parker's panel? What date? Did he give a date of this video? Somebody let us know.
Happy birthday. Hey, Jarvista. You'll be out of town. Come on. Daddy, look at the day. Hey, happy birthday, dog. Daddy, what's in my shoes?
I think it was in 2021, something like that.
Hey, Z, look at my birthday boy. Why don't you go over there? Let me back. So what you do? You just come by, fly in, fly out? My birthday. I missed my birthday. I was trying to get there, but I thought you were supposed to be part of the family. You gotta stop this.
Stop it right there, y'all. We can stop it right there. Appreciate that new membership, that part right there. Appreciate that new membership, that part right there. So, I mean, we all can agree Miss Annette is full of ish. Somebody slide in.
Yeah, you're right. Because even when I saw her testimony,
Yeah, I just wanted to
she
say,
was like saying,
I have a
"Oh,
problem
I
with
just, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know Juanita was
how they
talking.
how
Wait,
they
wait a minute,
how they
Juanita.
how everything transpired.
Juanita. Let Mel finish, Juanita. Juanita is behind. She behind, so she ain't mean no harm. Come on and finish, Mel.
Okay. In her testimony, how she was sitting there, and she was saying, "Oh, I just wish somebody bring her home," whatever she was saying. And I'm thinking, wait, hold up. This is not like her. But
You
you
wait till the
waited
next morning to
next
report.
day to report it, and you reported it to the school and not the cops. Had you reported it that night, the cops would have been all over the place. But you waited to the next day. But yet now you're begging for somebody to bring her home. Well, what did you do? Where did you think she was that night?
Right. Mm.
I yield the floor, Juanita.
That's what I said, Mel. Why you wait till the next day to report her if she's supposed to been missing on the night? Why would you wait? Why would you go to the school instead of going to the police? And just like I said, when Jarvis called her and said he was coming to pick her up, she said, "Well, do they know? They allow her to be around him. They allow her to go to the shop. They know where he was. So why would they allow her to be around this man when they know he was an SA offender? If she came up missing, why they didn't go to the shop to look for her? This whole case is effed up, and there's a lot of hands involved. And I hope all of them get taken down. That baby didn't deserve that.
It's so it's just sad, man. Like nobody protected that little. Nobody protected her. Somebody can slide in.
I'm gonna say this, Shank, before I leave. I need to get back on the road, but because we always talk about mental illness and
At
whether or not
all.
somebody knows right from wrong, and will they be found guilty of their crimes, and will they try to claim a mental illness defect? So, is narcissistic personality disorder a mental illness? It definitely is. Um, but the whole idea of it is whether or not you know right from wrong. Are you missing a tick there? If you're a pedophile, are you sick? Yes, you are. So are you on a mental illness disorder on that spectrum of, yeah, you have something wrong with you? Absolutely. But it's a personality disorder. Personality disorders for the most part cannot be fixed with medication. We do behavior modification. We need to train you to know better, to do better. And in some cases, I think I talked about this before, we may have to do a medical castration. Sometimes in certain countries, physical castration. We don't do that here. But in this case, did he know right from wrong? I'm going to tell y'all he absolutely knew right from wrong, because he sought to cover up his activities. He sought to hide them. He knew right from wrong. He wasn't out there exposing himself to the world at large. He wasn't saying, "Yeah, Shannon, I'm messing with your niece. Yeah, Annette, I love your granddaughter. I want her. I'm with her. I'm trying to be with her." He absolutely knew he was wrong when he was sending her these covert messages, when he was hiding, when he was saying, meet me in the basement and do this and do that. He knew right from wrong. If he did not know right from wrong, he wouldn't have been trying to hide his actions. He wouldn't have been, meet me around the corner, I'll pick you up outside, do this or do that. He knew right from wrong. He knew what he was doing was wrong. He was hiding his actions. That is what makes him guilty. That is what, once he goes to court, and if a psychologist or a psychiatrist had to assess him and say, yes, this man knew what he was doing. Yes, he knew right from wrong. Yes, he's responsible for his actions. Yes, he understands to the full extent of the law what's going to happen to him. He should be tried. And if he's convicted, we'll be okay with it because he's not suffering a mental defect to the extent of he's operating under a child's mind.
Yeah.
So is he sick? Absolutely. Is he mentally deficient? Hell no.
Touch of Faith says, I feel the account with the videos is her cousin's. I think the pregnant girl is Vari's girlfriend, possibly. The account is talking about missing something because it was done to Annette. It was normal. She raped, so it was passed down. It's generational. Moore says, Nikki Lynn, you are so on point. I dated a narcissist for a year, an old child, but for the grace of God. Alicia says, was he really hiding his actions? That family knew what was happening. Shari says they all use Naziah to keep Jarvis around. That part, let's be clear. We have a child that is talked about in a home daily, and there was never anything good being said. They did what they wanted to, this baby, and is covering for one another at all costs. Exactly.
He was. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Messages and the hashtags and descriptions. Salute, Lex. Salute, Lex. Appreciate you for pulling up, Lex. Come on, Nikki.
He was hiding his actions, but the reason they knew because they all in some form or another experienced it. And Miss Parker and Shank, y'all did it best. Y'all pulled it all out. That whole family, for the most part, has suffered some form of SA abuse. They never got help. It's traumatic trauma, SA abuse at its worst. It went from one generation to another, on and on and on. So because it happened to them, they automatically should have recognized what was going on in their home, under their eyes, and happening to other children in the family. So yeah, I do think they know. I do think they recognize the signs, and that's why they should have known better. But was Jarvis trying to hide his actions? Absolutely. It has nothing to do with whether or not they knew. It was him trying to hide what he was doing from the world at large. But yeah, they definitely know because in some form or not, and that her children, oh my gosh, the brothers, just so many that you guys are pulling out that went through it, that's going through it. I mean, if you don't sort to alleviate the problem, fix the problem, get help, it's going to continue. And that's exactly what it did. It continued. We are no longer in the age where we can pretend and just make it go away. Because I promise y'all, this isn't new. This is not new. This has been happening in families for such a long time. What we have now is social media. We have social media where we're now being able to expose this. But this stuff isn't new, y'all. And now what's happening is people are being caught more easily and more readily. So that's why more babies are coming up unalive, because back in the days, in your grandpappy days and your great grandfather days, where you could bury the story and your family could pretend like it didn't exist and you didn't talk about it, it was okay. It was everybody's dirty little family secret and it just went away. But now that things are being exposed and the Me Too movements and all these new movements are coming out, people are being exposed and they just don't want to be held accountable for their crimes. So they taking drastic measures to cover it up. And that's what's going on. That's why babies are coming up being unalive.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said it. You couldn't have said it no better. I'm gonna let y'all give y'all last words. Any last words, Mel?
Are you talking to me,
Yeah,
Shane? Okay.
Yes.
Nikki, I
I
agree.
agree with you.
I really agree. But in some, I have a difference of opinion. And to some, this might be thought provoking, and to some, it may not. But I have to listen to things that are said. And in my honest opinion, Jarvis was saying, yeah, meet me around the corner and meet me in the basement and all that. But to be honest with you, in my opinion, I don't think Jarvis was talking to Naziah. I don't think Naziah was the one texting Jarvis at 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning. I just don't, because the one thing that I do remember is that her grandmother said that she would take Naziah's electronics at night. So, and most parents, they either do screen time or stuff like that. But first of all, I don't think she's going to be doing all that stuff on a school issue thing as well, because they're very using school issue stuff. Is very particular about what they let you do there. They have that kind of locked up. But I don't think that he was asking her at 2:30 in the morning to meet him down the street and around the corner, and she's saying, "Oh yeah, the neighbor's watching." I don't think that was her. And I'm gonna exit on this note. I really think that Jarvis was texting and that.
Appreciate you, Mel.
I think Jarvis was kind of involved with Annette, Shannon, and Naziah. But that's just my opinion. It could be thought provoking or maybe not. But you're welcome, Shane, Nikki, and Juanita later.
Any last words, Juanita?
Wow.
Any
Yeah.
last words, Juanita?
Yeah, I just want to say, people need to stop normalizing this type of behavior. This is not normal at all. And people need to, when they see something, they need to say something. And not only say something, do something. Because I would risk my life for a child. I don't care who child it is. I don't care what race, color, whatever. I will risk my life for a child because these are innocent beings and they deserve to live happy like children. They deserve to be a child. They shouldn't have their innocence taken away from them under no circumstances at all. Period. It's hurting our culture. It's hurting our society. And most of all, it's hurting the ones who have passion for children. And I have a passion for kids. I don't like to see no child hurt or in pain because of an irresponsible adult who think it's okay to essay a child or R a child or M a child. We have to do better. We have to do better. This is crazy. And I feel in some shape, form, or fashion, we have to stand up as a people and do right by the children of God. And I digest.
Appreciate you, Juanita. Take us home, Nikki.
So just last response and answer to Mel again, and I reiterate, it really doesn't matter who was on the end pretending to be Naziah. Jarvis thought he was speaking to Naziah, and that's the sick part. Let's look at what he was sending to her. So regardless of who was on the other end, he thought he was speaking to Naziah. So in the end, I'm just going to leave you with this, Shank. Any and everybody that's responsible, I hope it comes to light and they're held accountable. Thank you for your time. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Rock Squad. Thank you, Shank.
Appreciate you, Nikki. I'm going to end it on this. No longer can we turn a blind eye. This Naziah Harris case is not new. This has been going on in families all over the world for thousands and thousands of years. We got to stop it. We got to put an end to it. No longer what is done in the family stays in the family. No, that's negative. If you hurt a child physically, mentally, spiritually, sexually, however you want to classify it, if you hurt a child, you has to be brought to justice. If you see somebody in your family hurting a child, you gotta report it. You gotta report it. If you ain't gonna, and y'all gotta read between the lines, if you ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, report it. But I say, handle it that way and report it. Give them a double whammy, because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna handle it that way, but I'm gonna also report it. All right? Remember, if you touch a child, you touch all of us. I'll leave the chat running. Miss Parker will be going live. I'll see everybody back at 10 p.m. I'll see everybody back at 10 p.m. Miss Parker is going live in a few more hours. Salute everybody. I will leave the chat running and you all can hang around. Salute everybody.